Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and this is Riffs Magazine. And tonight I'll be talking with guitar player Ethan Brosh. How you doing tonight, Ethan?
Hey, what's going on, Jason? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great. Now, you're still out there promoting your latest album, which is called Live a Dream, which it seems like you seem to be these days, because you're currently on tour with Jakey Lee's band, Red Dragon Cartel. How's the tour been going?
Absolutely. We've only done 2 shows so far. We played in New York City a couple of nights ago, and then we played in Philadelphia yesterday. And it's been going really great. We're all having a great time. Jake is really cool, and his band is really cool. And, I mean, we had 2 really great shows. People really appreciated what we do, and then it's great to see Jake back on the scene doing what he does, and he's totally back in shape, and he sounds just as good as he always did, and he has some of his old moves and all that cool stuff. So
yeah.
I'm just really happy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, were you much of a Jake fan back in the day? Because like you said, he hasn't played or released any new music in about 20 years, since he put out this. This is the first thing he's put out in like 20 years. So how big of a fan were you of his back in the day?
A huge fan. I mean, he's one of my biggest influences.
Yeah.
I just, I remember when I was a teenager, I was just flipping through the channels, and I just happened to land on MTV, and it was in the middle of a music video, and I landed right on the guitar solo, and I saw this guy with huge hair, and he had a white Stratocaster. He was playing the most insane guitar solo I've ever seen, and I just couldn't wait till the end of the song just to see who it was by. And then it said Ozzy Osbourne, Barking the Moon, and that that really changed my life when I saw that. I was like, I could not believe that heavy metal could be done like that.
Yeah, and let me ask you, like you said, you've only done two shows so far, but have you had a chance to sit down and kind of get to know Jake, or any backstage jamming going on?
Actually, I got to open for Jake a year ago when he just made his comeback on his second show.
Oh, okay.
When he came back in San Diego, so I got to spend a lot of time with him back then. So yeah, he's a great guy, and back then a year ago he showed me the right way to play Bark at the Moon, which I was wondering about for 20 years.
Oh, that had to be a totally cool thing for you. Now, I'd like to talk a little more about this new latest album, which of course is Live a Dream. You recently put out a video for a song, Space Invader. I thought it was a really cool looking video. You want to talk a little bit? Can you talk a little bit about the making of that video? And because it looks like you had a pretty cool director that you worked with.
Yeah, the cool thing about the guy that I work with to make my videos, his name is Seth Brown, and he's a friend. He's a really good friend, and we do all of our videos. It's just him and I, basically.
Wow.
And we just figure out stuff right on the spot. We don't have any ideas that we came up with, ahead of time, and we just we wing the whole thing, and we just usually we're really stressed for time, and we just have a few hours, and somehow it ends up looking really good for some reason. I don't know how it happens, but that guy Seth is just extremely talented, and specifically that video, Space Invaders, it was actually shot in 2 different places. The first part of it is actually at MIT. It's the campus of MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And the second half of it is in Los Angeles. And we shot it back in January. And I remember when we shot the MIT part, it was we started shooting at midnight because it was raining the whole day.
Wow.
And it finally stopped raining at around 11 p.m. So we started shooting at midnight, and this is January in Boston.
Wow.
So I was freezing. I was really freezing my ass off, just like trying to basically emulate what I played on the recording.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks later, we shot the second half of it in Los Angeles, and that was a lot more comfortable, I can tell you that.
Wow. And so when you guys shoot videos like that, do you have, once you get the thing edited together and the final product is released, do you usually have a lot of extra footage left over?
What's the question? I heard the first part. But...
Oh, like when you shoot videos like that, I was curious. And do you usually have a lot of extra footage left over?
Yeah, because we do many different takes.
Yeah.
And then we just take, a few seconds of this, a few seconds of that, then we go back to the first one, then we go back to the other one, because we just shoot it from a bunch of different angles.
Yeah.
And then we have a few just like other takes that we do for the intro and the outro, and we kind of try and figure it out. When we're editing, we're just trying to actually figure out what to do with it. So yeah. There's plenty of extra footage.
And the reason
some of it is really bad. Sometimes it's really hard to decide what to do, because like you have two different angles and they both look really cool, and you have to make a decision. Well, what are you going to use?
Yeah, well, the reason I was asking, I was kind of curious if you ever thought about putting out like a DVD or anything with like a collection of your videos and maybe some behind the scenes stuff, or do you figure that if people want to see the videos, they can just go check them out on YouTube?
It seems like nowadays it's like everyone is expecting everything for free.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about hopefully doing like a live DVD plus all my videos.
That would be cool.
And stuff in one DVD, maybe people will dig it.
Yeah, and an interesting thing about like just looking at that Space Invader video when I was watching it the other day, again, it's interesting that this is instrumental music, and yet the video came out so good. And this is music that there's not words to, but every scene seems to just fit the song, if you know what I mean. And so I gotta say, I gotta tip my hat to you, because that's hard to do when with music that you don't even have words to.
Yeah. I didn't hear everything you were saying there, but
I was just saying that it's really interesting, like in watching that Space Invader video, that we're talking about music that has no words, and it came out so nice,
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
And I think that just shows what an awesome player you are. Because in listening to the whole album, I can really feel the emotion coming out, and that's not always easy to do when you're just doing instrumental music.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And when I write instrumental music, I approach it just as if I wrote a song for a singer. It still has an intro and a verse and a chorus and a bridge and a guitar solo, but it's not that the whole tune is a guitar solo. It's
Yeah, and I wanted.
I try to keep it interesting somehow.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the song "Rude Awakening," because you got Dave Ellefson from Megadeth on there. How did you get him? And were you guys actually in the studio together?
He came to my studio when Megadeth were touring and they were in Massachusetts. So we did it very quickly when he was touring with Megadeth. It ended up working out just like it was a fluke, I guess.
And I was curious because I don't know if you know or aware, Ethan, but Megadeth, their guitar player Chris Broderick recently left. I was wondering if you were to ever get an offer like that to, say, join the mighty Megadeth, is that an offer you would ever consider, or would you rather continue on with your own solo music?
Oh no, I would definitely do it, and I'm talking to whoever I need to talk to at the moment to hopefully get considered to do that. I think
that would be an awesome.
I think it would be a good fit for that, and if you know Mustaine,
yeah. Well, I think you got a better end having played with Dave. So So I just think that would be just totally great if you got that. And you know, the last time we talked, you had just signed with Carmine Apice's Rocker Records. I was curious how that's been going for you since we last talked.
That's been going great. Actually, Carmine came to the show the other night that we played in New York, and I talked to Carmine a lot, and he just released the Drum Wars live CD that we recorded at the Iridium, and I guess he's working on a video for one of the songs now. Okay. And in February we're going to do some more shows. So it's going well, going very well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I got the Drum Wars CD, and actually it's a cool little project. And of course, like I said, you were signed as label, but is that kind of how you got to be part of a Drum Wars, or how did that all come about?
Unfortunately, the way it came about was not because of it wasn't something that I'm very happy with the way that I got it, because actually someone else was supposed to play the Drum Wars shows in New York, and that guitar player actually had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he's still, I think he's doing a little bit better, but it was almost completely paralyzed. So, you know, I ended up getting the gig, and of course, you know, I enjoyed doing the gig, but I hope the guy will get better and you know, continue to do shows with them.
Yeah, if it's the guy I think you're talking about, I think his name is Carl Cochran, and he's actually the guitar player that's on this record, but this other record Carmine just put out called Rated X. That's the name of the band, and with Jolyn Turner. And you know, it's an awful way to get a gig, but you know, somebody's got to do it, as they say. So unfortunately, it had to be you. But you know, what was that like recording the CD with you know, Carmine and his brother? Because you know, like you're one of these, you know, guitar shredders, but this is a cool project in that, you know, it really centers around the two drummers.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I don't even know if I even realized that we were recording it and it was going to be released as a CD, because this was the first time that I played with them, and the Iridium has a really small stage, and the whole thing was pretty difficult for me to do because I didn't even have my own monitor, and I just played a gig and just kept jumping over my pedal board to go and take solos in the front, and then going back to the back of the stage, and it was a little rough to do. And then I found out they're making a CD out of it. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. I hope I actually got the parts right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds pretty good.
And have you had a chance to hear the CD, the final product?
He sent me the mix when they did it a few weeks ago, and he actually just gave me the physical CD the other night, so it's in my backpack, but I haven't even on tour, so.
Yeah, of course. You know, and it's a cool product. Now, again, like when you guys were performing the show that night, it ultimately became the CD here. What was it like having a drummer on the left and a drummer on the right? I mean, that must have been really, loud.
You know, it's cool because usually when I'm on stage, the drummer is on either my left or my right, and when I get back home, either my left ear or my right ear is ringing really bad and a lot worse than the other ear. And this time I was like feeling the same amount of pain on both ears, so it was more comfortable.
Yeah, and of course, Carmine and Vinny, they're really these are like powerhouse drummers. You know, so did you notice that they were? I mean, I guess that's the whole point of the Drum Wars thing, but I guess they were really like compete with one another.
Yeah, I mean that's how they kind of promote it, but they play together, and it's just a real fun show that everyone gets to enjoy. And for me, I have to really focus on what I do, because it's not easy playing with both of them when they play together, because they don't keep it exactly like the recording. They pull all kinds of tricks, and it's just it's hard to keep up with it. So.
And let me ask you, Ethan.
It's a challenging gig.
Yeah, and let me ask you, Ethan, because obviously, you're out there touring, promoting your own music, but when you get a gig like the Drum Wars thing, where you're playing not stuff that's not necessarily your original music, but songs made famous by other people, is there any added pressure there to get the songs right?
Yeah, but Drum Wars was something that, those songs are exactly the type of songs that I like, and the songs that I've been playing my whole life, that it's so what I do that, I didn't feel a lot of that pressure. But if it was a different gig that I really had to play something that I wasn't really as comfortable with, I would have definitely felt the pressure there.
Yeah, and again, for anybody that isn't sure what this Drum Wars is, you can go online, check it out. They got videos I've seen of different shows they've done. And it's basically Carmine and Vinny, Bapsy Brothers. Just kind of they have this concert where it really centers around the two drummers, and it's really a unique concept. I've talked to Carmine in the past, and he was telling me he was actually the one that started the drum off here, out here in California, Hollywood, with Guitar Center. He's the one that started that, and he told me my thing has always been to making the drums the center of a show, which is not typically the case. So anytime you can do that, I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I love listening to that.
Yeah, and I think one of the coolest songs, which people might not expect to think you'd find on an album like this, is the Rod Stewart song, "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" Obviously, Carmine wrote that with Rod and performed it when he was in Rod Stewart's band. But how
we
fun?
have a metal version of that song now, so it's cool.
And how fun was that track to perform? Because that's probably something you typically wouldn't perform in concert.
Yeah, I don't know. The song is great.
Yeah.
And it's really melodic, and then we made it pretty heavy, or they made it really heavy.
Yeah.
But it's not something like playing some soft Rod Stewart song or anything like that. It's fun to play.
Yeah, and look at some other songs like "Crazy Train" and "Mob Rules" and "Holy Diver." How big of a fan were you of those songs when you were growing up?
Some of them I really liked.
Yeah.
Some of them were, I discovered later on. But they're all great songs.
Yeah, and then I was kind of your album "Live the Dream." I was kind of going through the liner notes, and I thought it was really cool that you kind of were talking to the person that bought the CD. Like, first of all, I thank you for buying the CD. The fact that you're even reading the notes here, thanks for that too. I'm a guy like you, but I kind of hope that the CD never totally dies, because I think it's a shame that people want to get everything for free.
Yeah, I know, it's really not helping the industry in any way, shape, or form. So, what can you do?
Yeah. And then I noticed too that on your song, I think it's called "Up the Stairway." I was reading in the notes that that was kind of inspired by teaching some of your students how to play "Stairway to Heaven." Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was teaching "Stairway to Heaven" so much to so many students that I didn't know, I just got kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
Then I was just trying to explain to the students, you have a chromatic descending bass line, and then I explained to them what each chord is, and what you can play over it. And then after explaining that student went home, and then I got stood up by the next student. So I just stayed there in the teaching studio, and I had half an hour to just sit there and play. And then I just thought about it, and I was like, well, maybe it would be cool to play something over this chord, something else over the other chord, and that's how the whole thing just came about.
Oh, cool. And I was going to ask you too, because I noticed it was saying that the artwork was done by Derek Riggs, which anybody knows. He's the guy that did all the classic Iron Maiden albums. How did you hook up with him?
He did the artwork for my first record,
Oh,
my second
oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I was reading in one of the albums I seen, but again, that's totally
yeah.
cool.
I mean, it goes back, a long way, and this was something that I just looked him up on his website, and I mean, I looked him up on the internet, and I found out that he just started. He just made a website, and I sent him a message. I never thought I'd get a reply.
Wow! How cool!
He replied, and it was really cool to me, and he really helped me out because I was just starting out, and it was really cool. And now we're good friends. So
yeah, and talk about teaching students. I was curious, I'm not a musician myself, but I hear that I guess the two most common riffs or most popular riffs everybody wants to hear is "Smoke on the Water" and "Stairway to Heaven," as you were saying. So, have you had much experience with that? I mean, is those the two songs that people want to hear or learn how to play typically the most, as far as
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely "Smoke on the Water." I'll never understand that, but I'll have kids who are 7 years old, and like they'll come in and they will already know some version of "Smoke on the Water" that someone showed them. It seems like people are just born knowing that riff to "Smoke on the Water." I don't know how it's possible, but
I think it's kind of just a build up. If you hear that riff, I mean, the first time you hear that riff, da 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 da, people just get so into it. It's amazing, like you said. And now the last time we were talking, about you signing with Carmine's label Rocker Records, you were telling me before you done that you were spending a lot of your own money having to make up the CDs and that. So getting this deal, I would imagine that's helped you a little in not having to put out so much of your own money to get the CDs and all that printed up.
Say that again.
Well, you're telling me before. Okay, like initially when the Live a Dream was originally released, you were releasing on your own, and you told me it's taking a lot of time and money, but you were distributing everything on your own. So I'm saying now that you have Carmine and his labels back, and that must have helped you out a lot, not having to worry so much about how your album's getting out there.
You always need to worry about stuff like that. Of course, it helps, no doubt. But the business is just in such a bad shape that you just got to do everything you can.
And the last thing I want to ask you, like you said, you're currently on tour with Jakey Lee's Rad Dragon Cartel, and 2014 is kind of wrapping up. Do you know are those the last shows you're going to do for this year? Or is the plan to go into studio soon and begin work on a new studio album?
I'm definitely writing material for another studio record, but I'm not sure when I'll be done with that. It's really hard to predict.
Yeah.
And the writing process is just like, it's hard, and it's just hard to complete songs and just just let them go and say like, all right,
I'm ready. Yeah,
this is the song and that's it, and I'll just record it now.
And when it comes time to do,
I don't know.
Yeah, and when it comes time to do the next CD, do you think you'll have the same band that you had on this last album, or is it just a matter of who's available?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure how I'm gonna go about that.
Yeah, well, like I said, Ethan, when we started the interview, I realized, you're all the way in Boston, and I'm here in LA, so I really appreciate you taking time to do this. I won't take up any more of your time, but thanks again, buddy, and this interview will probably go up in about a week or so. The minute it goes up, I'll let you know, and thanks again for doing this, and you can bet we'll be doing it again down the line.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate your help.
Okay, thanks again, Ethan. Take care. Bye-bye.